I'm going to record on the cloud. All right. Third time's a charm. So this pranic cellular breathing process is, essentially a way in which we can tap into the inner living energy or light spark within ourselves to not only heal, but keep us in a regenerative state of energy and a regenerative state of clarity and peace. When it comes to healing, as we explored in the recent level 2 course, where we're getting into emotional trauma and identifying and investigating charges, really there's an endless amount of charges that can arise. So to be able to activate our body on a cellular level, where this regeneration is happening on a more consistent basis, and then it's almost like when you come into this practice again, or when you are running certain currents of energy through intention, through focus, through breath, through going outside, being in nature, working with elementals, all of these different faculties, it's like you're just amping up this regenerative process. So it's always occurring, it's always moving. And what tends to happen is you start to kind of level out or abide within a default state, a default energetic kind of oscillation or awareness of this like inner sun, or this inner regeneration, this inner prana that is constantly moving. And most of you are obviously tapping into this already, but it can take many years to kind of deepen into levels where no matter what's happening in the external world or within the physical body or within relational circumstances, it will not fluctuate. Like this regenerative peace, this, because it is felt as a visceral peace, maybe more of a blissful joy, not like you're incapacitated and you can't do anything, but it's just kind of this natural glow that is constantly moving. This won't fluctuate as much, and it may fluctuate to certain degrees, but it's like you've kind of locked it in. And there's different stages that we can go through where that locking in can occur, but it takes a real level of diligence and focus to be able to make that happen, right? It's taken me many years. So at this time, I feel like it can happen quicker, especially as we get more refined processes. And we've spoken about them, in different lights and other systems that can be used. But for today, the topic was to be focused on how are we co-creating reality ongoingly. And the only point I'll make on that before we get into it is just reiterating what we went into in the last group session on last Thursday, where we were speaking about how ourselves, like our encryption, our unique frequency level, or our unique our unique frequency, our unique emanation is emanating all of the time. So our hologram, our external reality, is always going to be a product of the emanations that are kind of perpetuating. Now, because we live in time, in third dimensional reality, it does take some time for things to kind of outpicture, meaning for them to appear in the hologram. So that's why often, like, let's say if we rewind like 10 years in our life or something, we may have had more difficulty seeing the connections between action and consequence, right? Like where we see something appear in a hologram and we don't see how we've contributed to that happening in our experience. It doesn't seem like, oh, well, where did that come from? Oh, I didn't do this, or no, it's their fault, or it's that situation, or, we get into that separation and we don't take responsibility for what's there because we're not able to see the connection. But if you fast forward on your path, you tend to start to see the synchronistic web, like the unified field of the ripple, like the ocean, right? One little ripple ripples through the whole ocean. So everything that is perceived in the hologram does have a relation to how you've conducted yourself, or an energy that is stored within your multidimensional anatomy. So coming back to the element of you're always emanating yourself, well, then it becomes paramount to be aware of yourself and the fullness of your template, like all of your energetic anatomy. And that's why, when we get into freedom teachings type stuff, as you go through workshops with that, or you're studying that type of thing, you get into more advanced looks at what is the real level of anatomy that you're inhabiting, not just this physical anatomy or just like 7 chakras or, basic level energy. You're getting into a full spectrum. And that's where you can essentially begin to rebuild or re-encrypt yourself to the organic blueprint or the organic way. So today, we're just going to continue on the process we've done many times with this breathing, and we're going to move into this a more focused space of how we're breathing through the entirety of our anatomy and perceiving and continuing to just repeat the same exercise again and again and again, which is investigating the charges that we perceive in our bubble, right? Because the only reason we face challenge is because there's an unmet, unseen, unacknowledged charge held somewhere in the field. So really the process here is, it's not just a process of just like emptying your mind or, like being mindful just of the breath or something. It's really about expanding the breath, expanding your attention, expanding awareness into all the crevices of being, all the crevices of your template or your anatomy, so that you can perceive any discrepancy, essentially any distortion, anything that's there. And it's not like you're hunting for something that's wrong with you. It's just that you will just naturally become aware of that as you expand the attention. Because when we think of when we're in stress or we're overwhelmed or we're frustrated or these different things, we're generally in a contracted state, right? There's a feeling of contraction. So in that contraction, we're not expanded into the anatomy. So let's say like the image I'm getting is like a waterfall. Like say you have a waterfall of joyful frequency flowing through you at all time, right? Like a kundalini, hirashe, higher kundalini current constantly flowing through you. But if you're contracted, right? So you have this trauma that you had for 10 years and constantly every time it gets triggered. So you constantly get contracted back into that awareness. So that rainbow waterfall that's constantly flowing through you, you don't have your attention on that, so you can't feel it. You're in that contracted state. But if you keep opening up to that attention, right? Like you keep rewiring the habit, where you're expanded into those energy flows, then you start to become a master at, no matter what's happening or how some trigger has arisen, you're perpetually brought back to the expanded attention, the expanded awareness. And that's what gives way for, just these just an unspeakable peace that is always available. It doesn't matter what happens, doesn't matter what's happening in the world, doesn't matter anything, because it's just always there. So yeah, that's just a very short initial piece to clarify, some of the things we've already been going through for some of you. But if it's someone watching the recording or if it's your first time hearing it, it just reiterates the power we have as co-creators, no matter the circumstance, to continue to come back into expanded awareness of the many frequency flows, the many enjoyable aspects of our anatomy, right? That's really what it is. You're expanding into these like inner rainbow water flows or all kinds of things that are happening within you that, again, if you're in that contracted attention, you will not feel. And it'll be easy to project and blame and, numb and run away from yourself, essentially, right? So, yeah, okay. Hopefully that makes sense. We'll just jump right in then, and then we can leave questions, comments, or anything that wants to be discussed for afterwards. So, yeah, let's get comfy. Let's find just a comfortable space, whether seated or lying down. And when we feel ready, we can close the eyes, bring the attention back here. We'll simply take these initial few moments to relax into the body. There's times where we can hold that contracted attention due to tension in the body. And so you may immediately be drawn to a certain place of the body that's a bit tense or uncomfortable. And this is where we can just find that comfortable position, relax into the body, relax those key areas like the forehead, behind the eyes, the jaw, cheekbones, back of the head near the neck, all around the neck into the traps, the shoulders, the upper back, going all the way down through the spine, down through the arms, the lower back region. Just releasing any tension that's being held there in the hips, the pelvic region, near the PC muscle. And moving all the way down through the legs and the knees, thighs, calves, down to the ankles and the toes. So if there's any remaining areas in the body that you feel you can bring that loving, compassionate attention to and relax into, and this can be done. But you may already be relaxed, and you may find yourself already kind of just simply aware of what's here. Thoughts, feelings, sensations. Everything can be exactly as it is. Nothing needs to be changed. So to come to that perception is the direct ticket to mindfulness and a very easeful calm to release from contracted attention. Contracted attention often wants things to change, be better. It has some strong desire or fear. But when we can come to kind of almost like ripple out a frequency through eternity, through our whole body in every direction, like we're rippling out this attention, this energy, that everything's okay as it is. Everything can be okay as it is. So a deep abiding love and appreciation, acceptance, acknowledgement. And so to deepen into this rippling, so it's as if we can feel this flower opening and then closing a bit, just very gently. And it's rippling out this abiding, complete, and total acceptance for what is exactly as it is. This can be accelerated and just brought into a deeper felt sense within the body through the breath. So we can feel a natural inhale through the nose, about 5 to 8 seconds, where everything is coming back to us. And then it's outflowing through the exhale through the nose, 5 to 8 seconds, very gently, very subtly. And as always, we're breathing as if no one can even notice we're breathing, so gentle. It's like every crevice of the body is being soothed, gently soothed with this inhale. We're breathing in that gentle compassion. And same on the exhale. So the soothing, it's like moving in through the pores, it's moving in through the skin, the bones, the organs, the nervous system, up and through the spine, through the blood. Every crevice of the body is being soothed by this frequency that we're breathing in, very gently, very slowly, and breathing out very gently, very slowly. So we can still feel this oscillating wave as the slow inhale through the nose comes in 5 to 8 seconds or even longer. And same on the exhale. So you can elongate the breath beyond 5 to 8 seconds if it feels comfortable. It's more important that the breath on the inhale and exhale is either equal or the exhale is a bit longer than the inhale. And expanding even deeper into this process, we're breathing in through the pores. It's as if every cell is breathing. So it's not like there's this center you that's breathing into the center of you. It's more so every cell has its own center. Every cell is like its own living essence that's breathing in and breathing out. It's like a white lotus or a golden lotus or whatever color that comes to mind. It's contracting a bit, closing, and then it's opening. And it's rippling out this frequency of a complete acceptance for oneself, exactly as you are, exactly how life is now. And simply continuing to stay focused on this breath as the attention of every cell expands outside of the body as well. So it's like the particles or energy within your aura, within the air around you, within the elements all around you, are also breathing on their own. And so the same breath that we're moving in through the nose, out through the nose, we can do for a minimum about 12 times, but we can go beyond that upwards of 48 times if we like. This very slowly just feeling this gentleness of everything breathing, constantly breathing. And it's emitting this golden frequency throughout, golden rainbow frequency throughout, through every crevice of the body, soothing every crevice of your anatomy and your template. The power of this very gentle breath is as if you're breathing in the entirety of creation. The entirety of creation is breathing with you simultaneously. So when you're breathing in the entirety of creation. As you're breathing out, you're reconnecting with the entirety of creation in every direction, 360 degrees. So when you breathe, the universe breathes, and every cell within your template, every quanta of creation is oscillating with this movement. At a certain point, you may even find that the breath takes on a life of its own, where the universe is breathing you. Everything is breathing, moving, oscillating on its own. And you can feel these very subtle ripples of a rainbow current, rainbow golden light that are rippling through the entirety of your body. And it's as if every color has a ripple of these essential principles or essential frequencies that make up who you are. This natural joy, this effortless peace, this complete love, this deep abiding compassion, and integrity. All the principles of the true way kind of naturally rippling through your being, because they are the essential nature, the essential fabric in which make up who you are and your emanation or expression. So we can feel this emanation just kind of naturally oscillating like this flower, this oscillating flame. So the image I'm getting is kind of like a Dragon Ball Z character or something of the sort, where there's this oscillating flame around the body, through the body. So all impurities or distortions, any charges, any areas of density, these various fears and implanted behaviors, belief structures, they're all burned up within this flame. They're dissolved very naturally and effortlessly, as if they never were there to begin with. But it's almost like they pop and release certain stuck areas where you can feel this energy, then like stuck energy releasing through the body, naturally able to flow through the currents, through the channels of the body. So you may feel this more pronounced in particular areas, but at the core, it's like a glowing emanation that emerges around the body, where you literally feel this glowing essence or radiance coming through these main points in the heart region, lower sacral, maybe even in the brain, third eye, Rajna, and the Azare, the higher heart. These are different core points where these energies are more pronounced. And so naturally within this perception of yourself, within this felt sense of this flame and this expanded sense or awareness, well then naturally anything that is of any particular distortion or density, as we have mentioned, can be dissolved quite rapidly just through simply the perception of it. Any particular areas of the body that hold any particular charge, well then the investigation directly into it is what's being called, so that we can move into that and see the spaciousness within it and return back into that profound frequency that can dissolve anything, any stuck energy, any dense charge or ball. Often there's like a ball of energy that can be perceived. There's some strongly held thought or emotion, sensation in relation to any particular subject or person, relationship. So oftentimes within this space, natural perceptions of topics that require your attention or creative directions that one wants to move into, or layers of the multidimensional self that are being revealed can naturally be revealed in this space. And also this can be done as just a simple exercise to activate these flows to then carry about your day, various tasks, responsibilities, actions, adventures you'd like to engage in. And reminding oneself that they can always come back to activating this through the simple attention, through this very simple breath process, and do this all throughout the day, where we keep coming back to this attention, keep coming back to the movement of these energies and the opening to these frequency flows. So the rainbow currents that run like a waterfall through the central pillar of our anatomy and our template, our whole body down through our spine, they can be returned to. The attention of them can be returned to at any moment, at any time. And it's best that we keep coming back to this so we can keep almost essentially like practicing and remembering ourselves again. So this process does not need to take long at all, but for some, this may result in one staying in this process for quite some time because of how much inner perceptions open up, whether it's visions, epiphanies, ideas, perspectives, various healings, memories, etc., etc. So some of us may feel complete here. We can listen to our bodies to tell us what is next, whether we'd like to move the body or just simply return here, open the eyes, or if we'd like to continue to rest in this, then we're welcome to do as we like. Coming into a sense of completion as we feel. So if there's any questions or comments on that process, whether in the chat or in video, feel free. See if I have any clarifying elements on what we just done. So pretty simple, as you can see. Many of you have likely done that in some degree with me before. This one was a bit different in the sense that we're really connecting to that inner flame body, opening to these various frequency flows, which are going to be more pronounced in the discovery through, various freedom teaching work or workshops, but it can be done also in other ways. I mean, this is your anatomy already, so you're not adding something to yourself or needing to add something to yourself. It's already there. So just simply the intention and the use of the breath, the use of that expanded awareness, to me can be the doorway for that self-discovery of these lost aspects of self. And a very important but simple thing that we went into at the end was the reminder that we can continue to activate this, and we shall continue to activate this throughout the entirety of our day, constantly coming back to this, constantly doing that, even just a subtle few breaths, to bring those flows and that attention back. I was writing about this morning in my own process of how, especially when it comes to physical things, the physical dimension, we have a denser body, so we may engage in particular activities that can really affect our physical body in you know, pleasant or not so pleasant ways. And the more we're identified with that physical body, or our physical body is disconnected from those higher aspects of ourselves. Oh, excuse my dog, he's really going at it right now. Then the element of us being able to integrate this process into our physical body so that we can in quicker and quicker and quicker ways come back to these frequency flows in spite of and no matter the physical circumstance that we may be dealing with, right? Like for me, and likely for all of you, I mean, it's all men here. So let's say the topic of ejaculation or orgasm, the release of the semen often can be a very debilitating physical thing. And so while we shall focus on that not happening as much as possible, if it does, or if it happens in end of like an ejaculation or something, which is kind of like a half-half, our ability to continue to come back to these frequency flows is very important, because the time period that it will take to rejuvenate from that experience will be less and less and less and less. It'll be the same if we overeat, or if we eat something that's not so pleasant. Same thing. If we get too lost in that physical thing and we're too focused on what has just happened physically, then we'll wallow in that, maybe get in the guilt, and that the time period it will take to again rejuvenate or come back to these oscillating frequencies that are so blissful and can essentially like wipe clean. It's like they wipe the slate clean no matter what the physical circumstances happen. And you know, you see this with a lot of old masters and adepts who didn't care so much about you know, the physical body. You know, in the yogic culture, there would be often kind of like I guess it was almost like a form of a challenge or a test, where some of the yogis would drink like a full bottle of alcohol to see if they could not get drunk, if they had that level of control over the multiple faculties in the body, or the consciousness that can then affect the physical body, right, and rejuvenate things quicker in spite of physical, you know, situations that are not so you know, pleasant or what have you, right? So it's really about in a certain sense, it's a transcendence of the physical body, whilst also integrate deeper into the physical body, because that's actually how we gain more control over the physical body, not denying the body, but denying our identification with the elements of the material form, in the sense that, you know, like the majority of people are very identified with their physical body and their physical identity. So if something happens in their physical world that threatens that identity, it takes very long for them to rebalance. But if you're not identified with the physical entity as your primary knowing of who you are, then you can very quickly navigate and balance and neutralize things without much concern of anything that happens in the physical dimension, right? So this leads into all the other things, because this is actually the doorway to extrasensory perceptions, right? Because we're expanding our attention of what sensation actually is. It's not just the five senses, it's all of these other senses, which there's 12, that we all have the ability to access. And you know, I would assume all of us are accessing them in different ways, different quantities at this time. And that'll just continue, right? It continues as we again expand. Much of today was about that expansion, and then the integration, the expansion and then integration, and that's really keeping that balance is really important. So so yeah, pretty cool topic. I mean, it takes practice, but it's why we're here, you know, to learn these ways. So
I wanna say something funny on that. I was I normally get really, I don't know what's the English word, but like sick in the car when I'm like in the car driving. When I'm in a car, when someone's driving, I get like car sick, nauseous, and for the first time this time, it was a long time that I've been in the car. But what I noticed is that I was getting nauseous, but I was in a bus actually, but I wasn't contracting around it for the first time. And it was really funny because I did it in a way. It felt pleasant. I was so happy with this. It's such a stupid thing, but I was really happy with it because it was really, yeah. yeah, like you said, the resistance was just gone. It was the first time I experienced it with the car nauseous, and it was, yeah.
Wow. Wow. Nice. That's cool. Yeah. I mean, we all have our own like little things, in our own life that maybe small to someone else, but very significant for our own path because I don't know, we've dealt with it for so long, So yeah, that makes sense. Nice. I saw your question too about the 12 senses. So the 12 senses in expanded form or explanation surely would be better suited in some of the freedom teaching stuff. I forget what I mean, they were covered in a lot of different workshops, but I'll just share you the screen of something I posted on Facebook, not Facebook, but Instagram a while ago. It was a screenshot from one of the workshop books. But I made a meme. I was like, what do you do in your spare time? Develop my senses. And then it had, so you have the 5 main senses, right? Sight, hearing, touch, smell, taste. The 5 senses of dimensions 1 to 3. But then you have dimensions for all, basically a dimension from each one of the DNA strands, well, DNA strands with Kathara centers. But yeah, so these are advanced senses that we some of us kind of know, like telepathy, for instance, being able to like communicate in visually. It's like basically inner communication. It's our inner cell phone, right? Of being or even beyond that, like inner like Zoom, like inner virtual reality where we can communicate with each other, audio visual ways. And this can be practiced in really simple forms, right? Like with friends, you could do a game where you play a simple game like writing a number down on a piece of paper that the other person can't see, and then trying to communicate that number, or seeing if someone else can read what was in what shape they drew, or what number they wrote down, or something like that. That's one way that you can communicate it. But you'll find that this is actually going to be quite natural with people who are quite close to you, or people who have a certain frequency connection to, like a certain soul connection. You may naturally already be going through things like this, and already have, because it's just something that is always naturally there. It's actually quite like these are things that are quite natural to us. It's just we've learned that they're not, But so when you start to return to yourself, they just kind of happen, right? Um, yeah. So yeah, Hans was saying he's done that with someone before. Yeah, a lot of ways you can communicate and do that. It's quite fun. The elements of like a lot of these are obviously quite advanced in sense like biolocation. I've done that actually before in a meditation where it wasn't like a full-on a biolocation or a physical existence, but it was pretty close. So you can practice that, I guess, through astral projection in different ways. But I feel like these higher ones kind of they all activate in time once those DNA strands start to come online. Like a full molecular transmutation or transmigration is essentially sliding in or completely dissolving into another dimensional field or frequency band, right? So these are quite advanced levels of our sense experience. But even small things like more like clairaudience, psychic vision, claircognizance, these things of omnipresent view. So being able to, like read encryptions of people, of situations, of things, being able to perceive past and future within time, being able to access information. Like for instance, you can do that, I think, like sometimes with books, you have a book around you, you can place your left hand on it, breathe into it, and see if you can kind of perceive things about the book, see if you can receive aspects about that book without even reading it. This is kind of an element of higher sensation that can be kind of be played with, right? So yeah, so I surely don't claim to have all these abilities active right now, at least consciously, but these are things I guess we could look forward to as we navigate. Us having a chat, or it was in a friend's Telegram group, we were talking. Someone was talking about all the abilities that we will inevitably come back to, like being able to swim and breathe underwater like fish, or being able to fly. All these things. These are things that we are probably doing in other dimensions right now. We certainly are doing in other dimensions, but we've also been able to do in lower dimensions. Like into like Tara and Dimension 5. Like being able to fly, and these things are more common. And so these are things that we'll start to be able to remember over time. It could take a while, but also remembering the power and use of your imagination, being able to imagine yourself doing that in your imagination. A lot of times it's not so fantasy-like. You know, you could quite easily be tapping into an aspect of yourself in another place that is actively doing that, or starting to kind of cross over with memory. So it may be a part of like just your fantasies that you're coming up with, but in part it's also being accessed through memory. So it's you're starting to kind of pierce through the fog, right? So yeah, it's all an exploration in this regard with these types of topics, boy, but and very individual. But in my experience, at least, you know, again, it's like when you start to expand that attention, like for instance, say the reason why you cannot access these memories is because when you expand your attention, there's actually fog. It's like a certain layer of your dimensional bands, there's fog, and you can't see past. So part of the like that fog is actually more so like miasmic buildup, energetic buildup. So when we're doing these practices, or when you're doing other systems, going to Kalonic work or accessing these different processes, you're essentially starting to clear that fog. That's as simple as it gets, right? You're starting to clear the fog. So that fog now is clear so that you can actually perceive through those dimensional layers of yourself and access those memories, or access the knowing that, oh yeah, I am living another incarnation in this place right now, or I can actually perceive myself in this other place, or past future type timeline type dynamics. So this is very healing, because I mean, well, it's not just healing, it's just fun. I mean, what else, what better to do than, actually remember what the hell's going on here? You know what I mean? So yeah, but it can take some time, right? So we just got to keep on our work, and yeah, but it certainly starts to pop up, right? Yeah, so yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. I love those topics. I made a post on this not so long ago. Maybe you guys read it once, where I was talking about how I experience like just going different places, not even just in nature, but nature is easier because a lot of the cities, I'm not against cities, but a lot of the cities are very dense. So the frequency interruptions can be a bit more difficult to perceive through. So I find it's more prevalent in more nature or rural areas where yeah, like if you're in a different region, it's like you can really feel the region. You can feel the encryption of the energy. Maybe if there's like Aboriginal energy there, you could perceive them. You could perceive why they had certain languages. You could perceive why one tribe was called this name, why another tribe was called this name, because you can actually feel the encryption of those regions, and how, much of indigenous culture has expressed themselves based on the region. Right. And similar, if you go back to like in Kalonic tradition, like the 12 tribes are around the 12 stargates. So each of them had different qualities and a different encryption, because they were meant to be the guardians of those stargates. So similar to that, right? So what I felt is that the more that you clear the fog, you can perceive through everything more. And it's just amazing. Like, it's like you're in your own movie. You're walking in a forest and you're perceiving all these things like Avatar, or, like you're, I don't know, I guess same when you're smoking weed or on something like that. But, you don't need it because you are it. Yeah. So, yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. So I feel good with that. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else to share, but good topics today. Like, it's fun stuff. And that process, that meditation, I'll upload this. I'm gonna link the meditation bundle thing too, if you guys want to go and check this 20 plus meditations. Some of them I had out on YouTube, but a lot of them I didn't. Or not anymore, at least. Where is it? Just link it. But yeah, I'm gonna put this one in that too, so you guys can keep practicing. But yeah, I feel good. Stuff. Hope you guys have a good day. Enjoy the waves, Josh. The ocean.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, man.
That was very nice, man.
Cool. I'm happy you're able
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't hopped on one of these in a while. This was like the perfect time. Had a bit of a heated night.
Yeah, you cut out a bit, man. But I think I got that. I'm happy you're able to join. Maybe we'll chat soon. Mainka, much love, bro. Good to see you again.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. Hans, as always.
My
All right.
friends. Have a nice
See you
day.
guys. Yeah, you too. See you guys.
All the best, guys. Bye bye.
Bye.
See you, Mainka. Peace.